One of the things that's associated with the plasma membrane are things called extensions. And these include things called microvilli, cilia, and flagella. And these types of cellular extensions, and they're all a little different, are going to be playing a role in absorption, movement, and typically sensory processes. Let's start first with microvilli. I believe I addressed these way back in the first video when we talked about form and function. Microvilli are extensions of the plasma membrane. So if you see a cell kind of looks like this, looks like a castle with these crenellations, what happens with these microvilli, the plasma membrane is infolded, and as I mentioned before, this increases the surface area of that cell. Essentially, it's making the cell bigger, more space for processes to occur, but it's kind of that extra surface area is really put into a small space. So when you see cells with microvilli, these cells are going to be involved in absorption or secretion, typically, because there's more surface area for these processes to occur, and therefore more of these molecules and chemicals could be absorbed or secreted. We're going to find microvilli on cells in the digestive system or digestive tract, in the kidneys, any place where you're going to have a lot of absorption and secretion. You'll find these. Cilia are very small hair-like processes, and depending on where they're located, there's a variety of functions. Most of them are involved in movement, and specifically the movement of fluids or mucus through body cavities. I'll give you an example. The trachea is lined with a tissue called pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Don't worry about writing that down yet. These cilia are important because the mucus that's secreted by this tissue that lines the trachea is important for collecting any dirt and debris, particulate matter that you may be breathing in. The cilia's job is to, and if I'll draw a cilia here, a bunch of cilia, and here's the cell. The cilia's job are to kind of create this wave-like movement, and they move on their own. They need ATP for that, but they kind of create this very rhythmic wave-like movement, and what they're going to be doing then is moving that mucus and that debris and that particulate matter that's been captured in that mucus out of the respiratory tract, where you're either going to swallow it, yes, disgusting as it sounds, that's what happens, or you spit it up or spit it out. What's important to note about cilia when you compare them to microvilli is that the cilia actually are specialized structures, specialized protein structures that begin inside the cell. And they have a very specific anatomical structure, which I'm not going to get into. It's more of an advanced topic. But please understand that they do begin within in the cytoplasm, and those cilia then actually project out through the plasma membrane, whereas the microvilli are just specifically extensions of the plasma membrane themselves. Flagella, which is plural, or flagellum, which is singular, is involved in locomotion. And if we were to be studying single-celled organisms that live in a pond or something, a lot of them have flagella, some a flagellum, some multiple flagella, and they're involved in locomotion, and they kind of create this whip-like action, and it allows a propulsion effect in allowing the organism to move. In humans, there's only one place where we're going to find a flagellum, and that is on sperm cells in males. And those flagella, or a flagellum on a sperm cell, then acts as the motor, or the creating the propulsion necessary to move that sperm cell up towards the egg for fertilization.